go ahead and start.
Okay.
Got it anywhere?
All right, we're
There
up.
you are. You are up. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Well, good afternoon, folks. My name is Terry Lee. I'm the founder and director of Overflow Foundation. Overflow Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that was formed in memory of my son, Philip Lee Jr., who died by suicide a little over a year and a half ago. Overflow Foundation was started so that we could promote mental health, promote suicide prevention, as well as provide mental health education. And so today we wanted to recognize this very difficult time in our community as well as in our country. And we want to spotlight something that I feel is very important, and that is maintaining our mental health during this very difficult time. And so for today, we're going to be here for just a little while talking and chatting with Philip Lee, my husband, who is senior pastor at Cedar Creek Church. Philip will help address some of the spiritual aspects of maintaining our mental health during a difficult time. And I also have Dr. Cheryl Cummings with us today. Cheryl is a licensed professional counselor who's been working in our area. She has over 19 years of experience. Dr. Cummings received her doctorate in human services as well as counseling, and so she's in private practice now in the counseling field. And she also, Cheryl, tell us the name of your company, your counseling company.
It's Stairway Counseling Services.
Okay. Stairway Counseling Services, and you can find her at stairwaycounseling.com, correct?
Correct.
And so check her out as well. So Cheryl, thank you so much for being with us. What a joy and what an honor for us to have someone with your credentials.
Thank you for having
to
me.
talk with us. And so I hope everybody, first and foremost, will just relax.
Yeah.
And take a deep breath as we begin to talk about a very difficult subject. There's still a lot of stigma surrounding mental health. It's not an easy topic to talk about. And so right as I start this discussion today, I just want to say that if there is anyone out there who's struggling with suicidal thoughts or is having thoughts of harming themselves, there is a suicide hotline number that you can access, and that number is 1-800-273-TALK or 1-800-273-8255. If you prefer a texting format for a crisis line, then you can text 741-741 and to have a texting conversation with someone if you prefer that. But those resources are available to you if you need those today during our conversations. Cheryl and I are also a part of the Aiken County Suicide Coalition. There is a Facebook page for that team of individuals that we work with as far as suicide prevention and mental health awareness. And so I want to say a special thank you to all of those individuals that are part of that team. Again, the Aiken Suicide Coalition. So thank y'all for tuning in today also. So just want to establish really quick the need for this discussion. You know, the National Council for Behavioral Health says that 1 in 5 people will have a diagnosable mental health disorder during any given year. 1 in 5 people, and that's a lot of people. And so what that tells us right off the bat this afternoon is that mental disorders are common and impactful. And so what I want you to hear right as we start also this afternoon is the fact that there is hope. Mental disorders and mental illness is common. It's impactful. It does affect your ability to live, laugh, love, and learn. But there is hope. There are many, many resources that we can access, that you can access to give you hope and the ability to live well and to live a healthy life despite the fact that you may be struggling with some aspect of your mental health. So please maintain that word hope in the forefront of this conversation this afternoon. So, Dr. Cummings, one of the things that's been very prevalent crossing my Facebook page, as well as questions that I'm getting on private message, is during a time of crisis, how do we have conversations with our children? Say, let's begin with elementary age children. How do you talk with children about a crisis like what's going on in our community and in our world right now?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question, because that is definitely a question that we need to address to our audience during this time about our children. And I do want to turn our attention to a resource that I found on kidshealth.org, and it talks about talking to our children during the time that we have coronavirus and the viruses that we're in and plague our pandemic right now. But the first and foremost thing I think we need to remember is to remain calm.
Yeah.
We need to reassure our children that, as with anything, we are going to get through this as a country, as a family, but to remain calm. Also limit the amount of time that children are watching social media or the news outlets. The news will invoke a lot of fear into our children and to our society in general. So we want to make sure that we definitely limit as much time as we can for the TV for the children as well. Also, make yourself available to be able to talk to your child about what is going on. And if you don't have the knowledge or wherewithal about exactly what's going on with the COVID virus, make sure that you educate yourself. But talk to your children in child-friendly terms, in terms of what is going on and what is happening. Most of all, give them hope. We're going to pass through this. We're going to get over this. And that it's okay for them to be anxious. It's okay for them to be fearful and crying about this pandemic, but we will get through it.
Yeah, I think it's so important because kids pick up on our nonverbal
Absolutely.
as well. And if they see the tension and stress in us, it's going to heighten that in them. And they obviously don't have the wherewithal to get the information and filter that. And that's really our role as parents, is to communicate honestly with them. It's not good to lie to their kids, but it's really important to give them the information on their level, but continue to communicate that message of hope that this too will pass.
This too will pass. It will pass.
Yeah.
Right.
So, any differences between elementary age children and, say, our teenagers? Do we address this any differently with that age group?
Not necessarily differently. I think we still need to remain calm. We need to be open to have a conversation with them as well on a teenage level. But I think one of the things that we really need to focus on with our teenagers is because of the social distancing and because of the quarantine, we need to understand that they are experiencing a lot of stress and a lot of emotions by not being with their friends. Because in your teenage years, this is a very pivot time to be around your friends. So give them some outlets, give them some things that they can do and remain safe. And acknowledge and recognize their need for wanting to be social while we're experiencing this social distance. So if you're a parent that don't communicate a whole lot with your child, this is the time, and I've been asking all parents to do this, family nights, game nights, conversations around the table if you're doing dinner, just be more vocal, be more present, and be more verbal with your children, even your teenagers or your small children, but definitely your teenage population right now.
Absolutely. And one of the most important things I think that we can include in this, as far as having family conversations, is the fact that we need to be non-judgmental listeners. That's one of the most important steps with mental health first aid. Our feelings are our feelings, and so nothing is out of bounds. So we need to give our children, our teenagers, the adults that we're doing life with, the opportunity to express openly and honestly how they're feeling during this time. Having a non-judgmental listener can help de-stress some of that's going on, some of the things that are going on the inside. And if you're thinking that someone or you yourself are having thoughts of harming yourself, again, access that National Suicide Hotline number, or I want to encourage you to share how you're feeling with people. Don't ever be afraid to ask that question of your family members. Are you having thoughts of suicide? That's a common myth, that to raise that question or to ask that question to someone may actually plant those thoughts in their mind. Actually, it's opposite of that. It actually gives them the opportunity to share the difficulty that they're having and some of those thoughts, so that someone can listen, can be empathetic, and that can assist them in getting the help that they need. And so National Council also states that one of the populations that are at most risk are white males between the age of 45 to 60. They're actually the highest risk group of dying by suicide, and that may come to a great surprise for some folks. And so we also know the statistic is that 43% of older individuals, our senior adults, are living by themselves. And so, Dr. Cummings, we are kind of compounding maybe the challenge for some people with their mental health in asking them to isolate and include social distancing as part of our care plan right now. So address this challenge as far as the isolation, the challenge that may give many of us in maintaining our mental health, and how do we kind of approach that to stay healthy?
Well, even though we can't go outdoors or go out of our homes to visit people, we always have the telephone. We are living in a technology world right now, right? So I'm encouraging everyone to pick up the phone, call your loved one, and check on them. People love to talk. Conversation, communication is so healing for the soul. And so pick up the phone, call your seniors, call your children, call those individuals, check on them, see how they're doing. And when you're talking to them, I'm really, really asking people to encourage positivity. That's one of the key focal points. We don't want to have anyone calling other people and just, spewing out negativity. We want to keep that positive information flowing. We also know, too, that because of the time that we're in now and people are isolating themselves at home, that they're turning to self-medicating. So we're going to see drinking rates go up. We're going to see drug use rates go up. And so we're asking people to reach out to their sponsors if they're involved with AA or NA, and we're asking people to develop that support system of those individuals that you need to get through this time, because we're going to get through it. It's about building that team and building that network of people to get through it.
Right. I really loved during one of our phone conversations, prepping for this time, something you said about being future-minded. Can you expound on that a little bit and challenge us with those thoughts?
Absolutely. When I talk about future-minded, I'm talking about preparing for the future, because we're going to get through this. We can focus on the present. We can focus on the now. We know what we need to do. I think the CDC and all of the government officials has done a great job prepping us of what we need to do. But we need to look to the future. So when I'm talking about looking to the future, I'm talking about dusting off business plans. I'm talking about looking at possible classes that you may want to take, looking at how you want to see yourself after all of this passes. For our children and for our adolescents, they are in school, so there's schoolwork that they need to do, continue to maintain that path and stay focused on that path. But for us adults, dust off those things, get back into those hobbies that you love to do. A lot of people love to paint, like to do music, like to do art. Those things you can do within your home, at a nice social distance. I was thinking to myself, there's a lot of things we need to do at our house, a lot of home improvement projects, that we could start working on right now. So let's think toward the future and dust off some of our business plans, to look at some of our vision boards that we could possibly do, journaling, and journal about what we want to see our future look like after this thing has passed.
Right, absolutely. I love the thought of that. And many counselors and psychiatrists would also state very clearly and adamantly that spirituality and our relationship with God is pivotal, is a very important part of maintaining our mental health or getting through a mental health crisis that we may be in, or that an individual, a loved one may be in. Philip, so can you kind of address that with us? How does that fit into maintaining our mental health during this time?
Yeah, great question. And, Doc was talking about forward thinking, looking forward. And certainly there are a lot of obstacles during this situation, but obstacles are always opportunities. We're learning all kinds of things that we may continue to do even after we're allowed to connect socially, a lot of new things. And so I think focusing forward, I think recognizing that you are not just a physical being. We are physical, we are emotional, and we are spiritual. We are spiritual beings. And so I think recognizing in a time of crisis, particularly one like this where it seems like every day things are changing. You make a plan, you have an idea, and then all of a sudden you can't do that, or you got to do it differently. And so that creates a lot of stress. I think it's so important to find the anchor to the unchanging things. And, for us as followers of Jesus, we just believe that God is unchanging, that He's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And so anchoring to those unchanging sources of our faith, that God is who He is. This did not take Him by surprise. And He wants to work through it. He wants to turn these obstacles into opportunities. And you know, most of us, a lot of times we don't even know who our neighbors are anymore these days. We come home late from work, we push a button, the garage door opens, we drive our car in, we close it behind us, we hunker down with our family or whoever, and we don't really know who the people are around us. We've got a lot more time at home for many of us. It is a great opportunity to find out who your neighbors are. Shout across the street. You know, you can maintain social distancing, but check on one another, leave notes on the door, ring the doorbell, leave a note. Find out. Maybe there are some elderly folks in your community. Maybe there are some single parents that are really struggling while kids are out of school, and maybe they're healthcare workers that are still having to go into work and they're scrambling around. There are all kinds of ways to help others, and this is true spiritually. It's also true psychologically, that the best way to deal with negative thinking, with dealing with depression and anxiety, is to start looking around, to help others, to serve others. You know, when you get your eyes off of your problem and start to look around to others that can help, it helps that problem. You see that issue, that struggle in context. But if you stay focused on the problem, if you just keep circular thinking, just keep ruminating over that negative, whatever you focus on is going to get bigger, and the anxiety is going to get more. And so this is a great opportunity, one of the best things you can do through a time like this, particularly if you're struggling with anxiety or just feeling overwhelmed or just got brain lock on this one thought that you can't let go of, is just look up, look around, find somebody that you can help, you can serve. Because I'm telling you, in doing that, you'll find a fulfillment and a purpose that will supersede all of that negativity and all of that anxiety that you're facing.
Thanks. That's really great information from both of you. So now I want to kind of challenge you guys to think about something for just a second, to get you even more in the feel of the necessity to talk about mental health and to punch our fist through the wall of some of the stigma that's still out there. I want you to think about somebody in your home or somebody at Walmart. Let's say you pass somebody going down one of the down one of the aisles at Walmart, and they turn to you and they say, "I'm not feeling well. I'm feeling kind of sick on my stomach. I'm nauseated." You see that they're kind of breaking out in a cold sweat. They're kind of pale, and they say, "I'm having trouble breathing and I'm having a little pain up here in my chest." Or maybe it's a woman at home. Maybe you're sitting with your wife on the couch, and your wife turns to you and says, "You know what, I found a lump today when I was in the shower, and I'm just not really sure what I need to do about that, but I want you to know that I found a lump, and what do I need to do?" And so here's the question I want to pose. How long would it take us to grab our cell phone or to talk to a spouse and let them know that we had found that lump? Or how long would it take us to pick up our cell phone and to dial 911 and say, "We need help emergently"? And yet, when people are struggling with some aspect of their mental health, we are much more guarded with throwing up that white flag and with saying, "This is how I'm feeling, and I think I need help." 1 in 5 is a big number. That's 20% of the population. That number is actually greater than heart disease and cancer combined. The number of people worldwide who are struggling with some aspect of their mental health. And so we must continue to punch our fist through the wall of stigma and to make people more comfortable with saying, "I don't know what's going on, but I'm not feeling quite right. I'm having racing thoughts. I'm thinking of harming myself. I think I may be self-medicating with drugs or alcohol, and I need help." We must listen non-judgmentally to one another and make people feel okay with saying, "I'm not okay." And so as we go into this last segment of our time together, I want to ask Philip first, have you gotten any questions? Or
Have not yet. Hopefully you see the number there on your screen to text any questions you have. I got my handy dandy burner phone. Some of you are probably wondering why a preacher needs a burner phone, but just for times like this. But the number is 864 864-498-2014. Go ahead and feel free to text your questions. We'll try to field those and answer them as they come in. But again, that number is 864-498-2014. I'm standing by.
And those are absolutely confidential
Yes.
as well, and so you can feel safe to ask any question that you may have during this time. So, Dr. Cummings, I'm going to turn back to you a little bit now, and I'll put both of us on the hot seat to remember all of the resources that we wanted to let folks know about, because there are resources out there for you, for all of us, during this difficult time. So let's talk about some of those resources.
All right. So, which one do we want to start with?
Let's start with Aiken-Barnwell
Okay.
Mental Health. That's one of the facilities in our area.
So, Aiken-Barnwell Mental Health is a state-ran mental health facility here in Aiken, and there's actually a county office in just about all the county and throughout South Carolina, and they are under the umbrella of South Carolina Department of Mental Health. But particularly here in Aiken, Aiken-Barnwell Mental Health is a wonderful place that you can go. Their number, if you'd like to call them, is 803-641-7700. And on their messaging system, they will let you know whatever emergency plans that they have in place to be able to see people. But one of the beautiful things that I like about Aiken-Barnwell Mental Health and what South Carolina Department of Mental Health has done is they have a crisis hotline. And so this crisis hotline will allow people to call who is experiencing some of those symptoms of depression or anxiety, or who may feel like I'm not doing well mentally right now and I may need someone to at least call and do an over the phone assessment and or possibly come out to my home and assess me. And this number that you're going to give them is very crucial during this time, because we are living in some very peculiar times right now and people are experiencing a lot of emotions. And so they need to know that there are resources. There is a organization that will be able to provide me with some crisis help if I need it right now.
Absolutely. And that crisis line with Aiken-Barnwell Mental Health is 833-364-2274. The Aiken-Barnwell Mental Health Crisis Line, 833-364-2274. So reach out for those resources if you need to. Also, one of the other centers here in Aiken is the Aiken Center Commission for Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Both of these facilities are located next door to each other on Gregg Highway, right? So they're right there in close community for any of us that may need those resources. They do not have regular office hours right now, but they do have personnel there at their office from 8:30 to 5, I believe, for emergent drug or alcohol situations. The other thing that I do want to let you know about is that their personnel there at Aiken Center do have Narcan available, the nasal spray that can be used in emergent situations for someone who may have experienced an opioid overdose. They will continue to have personnel there on site that can give you about a 5-minute training in that. So if you live with someone or are concerned about someone near you that may be struggling with an opioid addiction and you want to have naloxone ready should the need arise, then you can go by Aiken Center on Gregg Highway and receive the 5-minute training and a dose of naloxone so that you can have that on your person for use.
Wonderful.
Okay. Also, we have another crisis line, 211, that allows you to call in to speak with someone, and also they can direct you to multiple resources in our area as well as statewide resources that may be of assistance to you if you're struggling with a mental health disorder or with a substance use disorder. 211 is another crisis line that you can call. So
with 211, I just kind of wanted to mention too is that they have a wide range of resources in addition to the crisis or your mental health or substance use needs. If you're having difficulties with finances, if you're having some of the other issues that this whole pandemic is bringing up for people and they're looking for resources, then they can call 211 and 211 will try to point them in the direction that they need to go or what resources are available in our community for them.
They're a great resource, and they have information about so many different places and people and ways to get resources. So it's kind of a clearinghouse, a one-stop shopping for information. So
Absolutely.
it's sort of the 911 of information.
Absolutely,
And so, call them. They'll help direct you and, to get the help you need. There are tremendous resources in our community, tremendous resources, but they are of zero value if you don't reach out. So let me just say, wherever you are, whoever you are, if you're not okay, it's okay not to be okay. But what is not okay is to not raise your hand, not to pick up the phone, not to reach out and get the help you need. And there's a lot of great people in our community here doing some amazing stuff. But you got to reach out. You got to wave the white flag sometimes. And I know that's hard for us.
Right.
We're all about being self-sufficient.
Absolutely.
We're all about, the land of the free and the home of the brave. And well, this is difficult stuff. Life is difficult under the best of circumstances. And then when you add in this current pandemic, it's important to go, you know what? I need some help. All of us.
Right.
Not a one of us up here has not needed and found a lot of help by reaching out. It's okay, and it's important to do that.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that all of us will be resources as well.
Yes.
For people. So if anybody has any questions or concerns or need resources,
Yes.
They have our contact information and they'll be able to call us or Facebook us, message us so we can point them in the right direction. Because
Absolutely.
I think as a community, as a nation, as a world, we have to join together and we have to help our fellow man, our fellow neighbor, to get through this time, because again, we will get through. It will pass.
Yes.
All crises always pass. There'll be some lingering effects, but I do believe that taking care of us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, as well as physically, we will get through this time. We will get through it.
Absolutely. So I think what you've heard today is a conglomeration of things that you can do to help get through this difficult time, things that you can do to maintain your mental health and to assist others who may be struggling with some aspect of their mental health. You can email me through the Overflow Foundation website. It's overflow.foundation, and send me a personal email with a question or concern there. You can also private message me through Facebook. There are office hours here still at the church where folks will be answering the phone here at Cedar Creek Church and are available to you and can get you in touch with a pastor if you should need to talk to a pastor, desire to talk to a pastor. I've also put additional resources on the overflow.foundation website, so you can go to that website and look under the blog post and also look under the help tab for some of those additional resources that we've talked about today during our time together. I would also mention very quickly, Mental Health America is another office in the Aiken area as well as across the river in Georgia. And Mental Health America offers many resources for individuals and their families who may be struggling. So any questions so far?
Nope, none.
So,
Here we go. Got one. Let's see. Okay. Tim Fitzgerald, who is our Director of Care and Counseling here at Cedar Creek Church, just wants you to know that Care and Counseling is offering counseling via video conference. Just call 803-649-3096, extension 3143. Again, that's the church number, 803-649-3096, extension 3143. And so they're doing telehealth type conferencing, video conferencing, so you can talk with the counselor directly through that and during this time of crisis. So reach out for that. That's a great resource. And I have a question. This hasn't come in, but one of the things I see and I hear a lot of people asking about is there's a lot of information about this disease and about what are the guidelines, what can you do, what can't you do, and there's just so much misinformation as well. It's amazing the rumors that get started, the National Guard are going to be on the streets, get ready. There's just so much out there. So I think for me is recognizing what are reputable sources. Who are the people that really we need to be looking into, because I know it's hard to believe, but just because it's on Facebook doesn't mean
Absolutely.
it's true.
Right.
So I know from my standpoint, trying to keep up with what's the latest information about the disease itself and the guidelines. The CDC has a great website, and then South Carolina DHEC, scdhec.com. There's a COVID virus update there. They keep you updated with what's the latest. And then, of course, reputable news sources, networks, reputable news sources. And even with that, you still got to filter it, right?
Absolutely.
Just using our common sense would be really helpful right now.
Absolutely. I think we're about out of time. If we don't have any other questions, we don't want to hold y'all too long. This episode that we've done is part of our monthly Mental Health Community of Hope. It's an Overflow Foundation sponsored event that we host here at Cedar Creek Church once a month on the fourth Sunday of every month. We're usually here in person doing this. We allow family members and individuals to come and talk about aspects of mental health, how to maintain mental health, how to help encourage and care for someone in their home who may be struggling with an aspect of their mental health. And so if we're not able to be together in person again next month on the fourth Sunday, then we'll be right back here to have another episode of Mental Health Community of Hope right here with you. Again, we want to emphasize that hope is here. Hope is present and available. Our t-shirt, if you're wondering what this stands for, yes, it is in memory of our son, Philip Lee Jr., but it stands for something more important than that. Also now to me is pouring hope into life. And that is exactly what we're going to continue to do, and what is the goal of Overflow Foundation as we move forward in continuing to raise awareness about mental health. We're going to continue to pour hope into the lives of people who may be struggling. And so thank you so much for listening, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.